vicious anti-Muslim hate following the Israel-Hamas conflict. The boy's mother, also attacked and critically injured, testified that their landlord's rhetoric turned hostile overnight. This horrific crime, driven by divisive and harmful narratives propagated by right-wing politicians and media, underscores the urgent need for unity and condemnation of hate speech. The landlord faces life in prison for his appalling actions. Pope Francis suffered a serious bronchial spasm, causing him to breathe in vomit, requiring non-invasive ventilation. Vatican City reports he remains alert during his battle with double pneumonia. Conservative leaders should note how universal healthcare access, unlike in America, allows even the Pope to receive comprehensive care. Prayers for his recovery reflect global support, although some remain oblivious, focusing on political grandstanding instead of healthcare reform. At 88, Pope Francis represents resilience but also underscores why healthcare shouldn't be a privilege. His crisis highlights the need for accessible healthcare for all, not just the privileged elite. The Trump administration's callous layoffs at NOAA jeopardize our safety, firing hundreds of dedicated weather forecasters. Erratic decisions undermine hurricane and climate disaster forecasts, endangering countless lives. Instead of supporting crucial services, Trump's cronies push for unnecessary cuts while lavishly funding ICE and corporate tax breaks. Trump's bloated ego labels smart governance as bloated bureaucracy, hurting hardworking federal employees. Layoffs undermine not just the National Weather Service, but our trust in government's role to protect and serve. Real leadership would prioritize citizens' well-being over reckless cost-cutting for the elite's benefit. Attorney General Pam Bondi handed out Jeffrey Epstein files to right-wing influencers, offering little more than public information and provoking widespread disappointment. Conservatives expected bombshell revelations but received heavily redacted documents and flight logs already seen. While right-wing pundits griped over empty binders and staged photo ops, real questions remain about Epstein's powerful network. Pam Bondi claims transparency, yet the public only sees a facade. The left continues to demand genuine accountability and justice for Epstein's many victims, disappointed by yet another failed promise of transparency from the right. In an unprecedented move, known drug lords including Rafael Caro Quintero extradited from Mexico to the U.S., signaling Trump's administration tightening the grip on terror as a tool of fear-mongering. Trump's coercive tariffs threat forcing Mexico's hand prioritizes aggressive actions over comprehensive reforms or foreign relations. Never mind the hypocrisy of demonizing migrants while exploiting their plight for political gain. A victory for justice or just more political theater? The suffering communities in Latin America and the U.S. bear the brunt, while the current administration congratulates itself for yet another band-aid on the festering wound. Hundreds of thousands across Greece demand justice on the second anniversary of the horrific train crash that claimed 57 lives due to governmental neglect. In a powerful general strike, workers halted transport, grounded flights, and shut down businesses. The people's anger over the lack of accountability and the government's failure to ensure railway safety is evident in massive protests and clashes with riot police. The center-right government's mishandling and cover-up of this tragedy highlights systemic corruption and incompetence, turning this anniversary into a symbol of the fight against a negligent state. European leaders marched into New Delhi with hopes high to seal a free trade agreement with India by year's end. This monumental deal, touted as the largest globally, signifies a strategic shift away from Trump's economically aggressive policies. Ursula von der Leyen and Narendra Modi's collective vision aims to fortify their defense and tech ties, challenging China's growing dominance. Eyeing mutual benefits, both sides push to eliminate absurd market access barriers. With Europe as a key partner and India doubling defense spending, this agreement stands pivotal in realigning global partnerships for a more equitable future. Trump's administration proves once again it prioritizes corporate greed over everyday Americans, dismantling the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The once vital watchdog protecting borrowers loses lawsuits against Capital One, Rocket Homes, and more. As Trump's nominee wreaks havoc and preaches right-sizing, the rich celebrate yet another escape from accountability. Giant corporations like Berkshire Hathaway-owned Vanderbilt Mortgage walk free, while consumers pay the price. Elizabeth Warren's efforts to shield Americans from predatory lending are thwarted once more in this absurd attempt to give banks carte blanche. When will the people come first over profiteers? Trump and Vance disgracefully berated Ukrainian President Zelensky in the Oval Office over his attire and alleged ingratitude. Zelensky aimed to secure a crucial minerals deal and stronger support against Russia, but he left humiliated and empty-handed. Trump's reckless accusations and public shaming of Zelensky only emboldened Russia. European leaders now scramble to support Ukraine, while Trump's administration aligns with autocrats. This debacle reveals the Trump administration's stunning disrespect for international allies and disregard for Ukraine's fight for sovereignty. Trump pushes forward with 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, despite futile border control talks. This erratic move starts March 4, 2025, angering allies desperate to avoid it. Mexico, Canada, and China brace for impact, with escalating tariffs throwing the global economy into disarray. Stock markets tumble, Bitcoin plummets, and major companies like Nvidia suffer. Trump's unstable policies send consumer spending into a downward spiral, and the Fed predicts an economic contraction. U.S. Treasury's ridiculous China tariff matching proposal dismisses the real economic pain. Amid this chaos, left-leaning policies offer stability. Right-wing greed wreaks havoc. The Social Security Administration faces catastrophic cuts due to Trump's draconian executive order slashing federal jobs, with plans that will decimate SSA's workforce by the thousands. Already operating at half-century staffing lows, this agency supporting millions with retirement and disability benefits will see even longer wait times, closed offices, and increased suffering for the public. Staff morale at rock bottom, with resignations and tears commonplace. Simultaneously, Trump's other outrageous executive orders against transgender rights and DEI programs paint a grim picture of systemic cruelty and unwarranted aggression targeting marginalized people. Iowa's GOP lawmakers removed gender identity protections, setting a dangerous precedent. Trans individuals now face increased discrimination risks without civil rights safeguards. Republican majorities claim it's to protect women, yet fail to present evidence of transgender individuals causing harm. Hundreds protest, chanting, "Trans rights are human rights." Opponents passionately denounce the bill, accusing it of erasing progress made under a Democratic-controlled legislature in 2007. Governor Reynolds likely to sign this regressive, discriminatory bill, further marginalizing vulnerable communities. This marks a disturbing step backward for civil rights in America. Attorney General Pam Bondi handed out Jeffrey Epstein